rallies again as you would expect. Generally, that's what markets do. They just kind of slither the way up. But the third is a lower high. So you have an uptrend, higher high, pullback, higher high, pullback, lower high. So think about what this means. It means that we are seeing momentum die off. Head and shoulders patterns are very commonly followed. So when they happen, a lot of people will jump on them just because they are there. They also feature a couple of really neat additions to the pattern itself. So if you draw a line right across here, that's what is known as the neckline. This is the head, and these are the shoulders. So again, it is a higher high, a pullback, a higher high, a pullback, and then a lower high. It signifies that something may be up. When you break down below what they call the neckline, here where you draw those three together, the measured move, the implied move, is the height of the head to the neckline. So if it's $100 from top of the head to the neckline, then you are expecting a $100 move once you break down below the neckline. Typically, the stop loss is put somewhere towards the top of the shoulder that you're breaking out of. Some traders will change it around a little bit, but that's how they typically play it. And then obviously there's the inverted head and shoulders, which is simply the same thing, only inverted. It's at the bottom of a move lower. You got a lower low, pullback, even lower low, pullback, and a higher low. Again, works the same way, but in reverse. That's your inverted head and shoulders. Once you break above the neckline, you take the measurement, just say it's $75, and then you extrapolate that out, put your stop loss on the other side of the shoulder. Another thing that I would point out is they do not have to be directly up and down. They can be slanted. And then your neckline would be like that. That's perfectly fine, just as long as the last shoulder is below the head. So let me show you a couple of examples. You can see Bitcoin is rallying here on the 1 hour chart. You can also see that the market had rallied, failed to continue rallying. And then there's the neckline. Notice how the neckline right here being supportive, I should say, we broke down and then we tested it and found it to be resistance again, just like you would on any other pattern. Now, the most obvious reason to like this head and shoulders pattern is the fact that it is right at the $40,000 level. It's a major number that will attract a lot of attention. You can take that measured move from the top of the head to the neckline, extrapolate it out from the breakdown, and you can see that we clearly got that move. Stop loss would go up here. It's roughly a 2.5 to 1 trade position, so makes quite a bit of sense. You actually got more, and that's not that uncommon either. But the pattern itself suggests a neckline to the top of the head. You can also adjust it to perhaps try to figure out where the market's likely to stop based upon support and resistance. You can see that's where we did. So once we broke through here, you would have been short somewhere around 38,800, and you would have gotten out at about 35,000, or if you just took the pattern, 36,200 or so. And you can see the Bitcoin does follow this quite nicely. So in this one, this is Tron. You can see that this was a failed rally. So let me draw this out for you. So this was interesting because we had been rallying before we fell. We tried to capture it. And look, it told us that, hey, we don't have enough momentum to go. And it made the move. It's also tilted, like I said it could be. Let's draw a couple lines here. You can see that clearly we have made the move, even more than we had anticipated. This is the 4-hour chart, so let's put a EMA on this. And you can see that the 9 has shown itself to be pretty reliable. As it's the 4-hour chart, we can even go up a little bit. The 20, as you can see, in and out, but it broke that neckline and acted as resistance all the way down. Nice little setup. Right around 3.5 cents, you started to see a little bit of selling pressure based upon the big figure. And then finally, let's take a look at Litecoin. Inverted head and shoulders. So the question is can you see it? Well, I see a couple candidates for example, a small inverted head and shoulders. There's also a bigger one. And I would point out that we broke the neckline. We even came back into it a little bit and then made our move. Your stop loss would have been back here. It would have been close, but it certainly looks as if you would have made it. Kind of depends on where exactly you put your stop loss, but you see the idea. Take that measured move, extrapolate it from here, and you did get there. Took a while, granted, but you did get there. This might have been interesting. Let's go ahead and put Bollinger Bands. You can see that we had broken down through the Bollinger Bands in the middle of it. This may have been used in conjunction with the stop loss placement. That, hey, we broke out of that. So this, if you're trading Bollinger Bands, this in and of itself was a signal. You take a look at this and say, hey, we just broke this head and shoulders pattern. This is yet another reason to get long. And again, like I said, somewhere right around here, you actually hit your target. Could have used other places to get out at, but you can see that it does kind of line up quite nicely there as well. So you can see that head and shoulders patterns are patterns that are very visible. The higher the time frame, the better they tend to behave. Depending on your broker, you may or may not have higher time frames available to you because some of these coins are fairly new. So it's not like the stock market where you might have 50 years worth of data and you can trade purely head and shoulders patterns or inverted head and shoulders patterns based upon the weekly time frame. But nonetheless, the rules apply in any time frame. So with that, it is a pattern worth paying attention to. And then if you can find a couple of reasons to take it beyond the pattern itself, you are really starting to put